Ladies and gentlemen, if you're ready for some fantasy hockey streaming advice, it's time for the most styling, profiling, wheeling and dealing, jet flying, limousine riding podcast in all the land. It's the reigning, defending, undisputed fantasy hockey streaming champion of the world. It's the Stream Scheme.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again to the greatest fantasy hockey podcast that focuses on streaming players for the upcoming week. It's the Stream Scheme. We won't be talking about your superstars like your Austin Matthews or your Jack Hughes here. No sirree, Bob. Here we get down to the nitty gritty, the dark depths of fantasy hockey that those other podcasts are too scared to touch. The Stream Scheme is presented by the greatest fantasy hockey podcast in the world, Keeping Karlsson, and we often refer to the greatest league in the world, the Keeping Karlsson Ultimate Patron Fantasy League, aka the Cupful. Hopefully everyone is coming off a win, not me, but that's besides the point. Spoiler alert, we are trending towards going 5 for 10 this week, which would make us now 7-1 on the season. And listen, I've got to do something about this. The heat check last week didn't work. My picks are too good. What can I say? So I've really got to push it to the limit this week. So last week I pretty much had 5 ludicrous streamers. This week, we've got 9 official by-the-book, 2% rostered or less ludicrous streamers for you. Some people will say I'm nuts, but guys, I've got to do something. I can't keep winning like this. People will think my stats are made up, which they kind of are. But hey, so if we're going to see if I can somehow pick 9 ludicrous streamers this week, but we still got 2 regular forward streamers and a regular defensive streamer for you as well. So don't worry, we didn't go full ludicrous. You never want to go full ludicrous. Although if I do win this week, I might have to. You never know. Stay tuned. But before we can get to the picks, first we have to see how our picks did last week, because we are all about accountability here at the Stream Scheme. Forward streamers, Dylan Cozens. I mean, do I need to say more? Our new favorite Cozens came through for us with just one of the best weeks all time for a streamer. Very satisfying to say the least. But the real question everyone wants to know is, do you hang on to Dylan Cozens? And all I can say is that at least for the next week, absolutely. Obviously, try to get what you can for him in a trade, but if you can't trade him, then at least Buffalo does have 3 games next week with 2 light days, so decent schedule. So I would 110% hang on to Dylan Cozens. Jean-Gabriel Pageau let us down this past week, and that's disappointing. He did get us a lot of hits, so I guess that's something. I mean, I'm clearly not going to rag on the guy too hard. The Islanders in general couldn't get it together this week offensively. They'll have that, and whenever you can't score against, Philadelphia or Kevin freaking Lankinen, you have problems. But yeah, not a great schedule for the Islanders next week, so you can drop our old pal Jean-Gabriel Pageau. Kent Johnson, just 1 point in 2 games so far for Johnson, which typically wouldn't be that bad for someone that's only playing 3 games in a week, but he has 0 shots over those last 2 games, and in his last game on Friday, he saw all of 8 minutes and 14 seconds of ice time. No bueno. No bueno indeed. So, yeah, this one really stinks because Columbus has a good schedule next week as well. So, I know for me, I'm willing to drop Kent Johnson, but he probably won't be like my first guy that I'm dropping this next week. But as a general rule, I will say this. Yeah, for sure, you can drop Kent Johnson. Jesse frickin' Puljujarvi is now officially dead to us. I'll say a few words. Puljujarvi, you're poop, but it runs much deeper than that. McDavid, you're a big old pile of poop. You're a bad captain who is selfish and plays too much and is a terrible example for children all around the world. Jay Woodcraft, you're also poop. Why would you let McDavid play like 26 minutes every stinking game? Yet Puljujarvi, who was supposedly skating on the same line, is only playing 13 minutes. You're a poop coach. Ken Holland, you're poop. Find some guys who can actually keep their frickin' stick on the ground and get some tap-ins when they're playing with McDavid or Draisaitl. And why stop there? Daryl Katz, you're probably poop too. What kind of shenanigans are you running down there in Edmonton? But yeah, needless to say, Jesse Puljujarvi, you are dead to us. The world will never hear the Pool Party song ever again. Our first defensive streamer was Ben Chiarot. 1 assist through 2 games so far for Chiarot. So he theoretically could still pull out the win for us this week in his 2 games that he's got this weekend. But right after I pumped him up as a Periffs beast, his blocks disappeared. So regardless of what Chiarot does this weekend, you can absolutely drop him. Our busy week streamer of the week, Nick Paul, came through for us with 2 goals and 1 assist for 3 points in 3 games so far this week, with 1 more game to go on Saturday as well. And I heard some people say they were surprised that I went Nick Paul without a mere mention of Killorn, which, yeah, nothing wrong with Killorn, if you like assists, I suppose. I picked Nick Paul because he hits dingers, he scores goals, he puts the puck in the net and puts butts in the seats, baby. So I would absolutely hold on to Nick Paul. Try to trade him if you can, obviously, but if you're not, you're still hanging on to Nick Paul. Our Shallow League streamer of the week, Tyler Bertuzzi, got injured unfortunately, but really wasn't doing much before he got hurt anyways. I guess sometimes second line, second power play is a tough deployment to overcome. But I'll tell you what, man, it just might not be Bertuzzi's year. So yeah, if you can't put him in an IR spot, then you can drop Tyler Bertuzzi. Our goalie streamer of the week, Craig Anderson, had a great game Tuesday. His goals against average took a hit, sure, but he had 41 saves and got the win, so I love it when a plan comes together. It was good for 8.3 cupful points, so as long as Craig Anderson gets to start on Sunday versus the Sharks, we should be in a good spot for a win this week. But yeah, the Sabres only play 3 times next week, and if the trend that we were banking on this week continues, then Craig Anderson would only get 1 of those starts. So yeah, thanks for the good stream and the points, Craig Anderson, but you can absolutely drop him. Moving on to our ludicrous streamers, our ludicrous defender, Cody Ceci stinks. I was actually, half tempted to make all of the Oilers dead to us in general because they made me so angry this past week. I was so distraught after that game on Monday. I didn't even sleep, and because I knew I was going to have to hold Pool Party all week long and he was going to do nothing, and I was just going to get more frustrated as the week went along. Don't get me started again, but yeah, Cody Ceci stinks and you can drop him. Jimmy Vesey came through clutch for us this past week with a goal, 7 shots, 3 hits, and 5 blocks somehow for a total of 11.25 cupful points for the week so far, with a game in hand on Saturday as well. So that's a clear win here for Jimmy Vesey. The Rangers do play on Monday and Wednesday to start out next week too, so I'd probably hang on to VC for at least that Monday game if you can, if not both those early week games. But after that, then you can so drop Jimmy VC if you choose. Calle Jarnkrok had an assist in his first game and got hurt in his second game, unfortunately. A lot of injuries this week. He'll apparently be out a while, so yeah, you can drop Calle Jarnkrok. And Kevin Labanc came through for us with 2 points in 3 games this week with 5 shots, 6 hits, and 2 blocks to boost him up as well. That is how friends treat each other, John Gabriel Pajot. But yeah, Labanc still has a game on Saturday as well, so that'll be an easy win here for Kevin Labanc. But the San Jose Sharks only play 2 times this next week, so yeah, after that game, you can drop Kevin Labanc. So overall, we are trending towards 1 for 4 on our regular forward streamers. Thank you, Dylan Cousins. trending towards 0 for 1 on our defensive streamer Ben Sherratt, but a clear win here from Nick Paul and our busy week streamer. Our Shallow League streamer got hurt. That ruins our streak there. Our goalie streamer is looking like it might actually work this week. Knock on wood. And we were 2 for 3 on our Ludicrous streamers, which, if the trends hold, would make us, as we mentioned, 5 for 10 on the week with the 2 injuries. And even if you don't include the injuries, it's like 6 for 12. So either way, that meets our 50% threshold. And if those trends hold, it would make us 7 for 1 on the year. Like, what do I have to do? I just picked 5 pretty much ludicrous streamers. What, I got to pick 9 or something? Don't let your league mates listen to me is essentially what I'm saying. But enough pitter patter. Let's get at it. Let's get to the schedules for the upcoming week starting on Monday, December 5th. 2022. Sorry about that little audio mix-up last week. On Monday, we have 12 clubs playing. 18 clubs play on Tuesday. 14 clubs playing on Wednesday. Just 10 clubs play on Thursday. Yet 20 clubs is the heavy day this week on Friday. Just 16 clubs playing on a rare light day Saturday. And lastly, 12 clubs play on the last day of the weekly matchup Sunday, December 11th. The best schedule of the week is a tie between Arizona, Boston, Calgary, Colorado, Florida, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, St. Louis, Vegas, and Washington. And yes, that's a whopping 10 teams that play 4 times this week with 3 light days. Just absolute madness. Just really spread out days, a streamer's delight. That's for sure. We've essentially got the pick of the litter this week. Some other teams with some good schedules this week are the Vancouver Canucks, who have 3 games on all the light days, the Columbus Blue Jackets, and the Winnipeg Jets, who have 4 games with 2 light days. And then there's 10 other teams that play 3 times with at least 2 light days. So in case you're wondering, yeah, that was 10 teams that play 4 times with 3 light days, and then 13 other teams on top of that with good to like decent schedules this week. So that's a total of 23 teams that I would, classify as having a good streaming schedule this week. Just absolute madness. Like I said, some weeks we have just like 3 teams with like good streaming schedules. This week we have 23, so an overabundance of options to say the least. The worst schedules of the week is a 3-way tie between the Anaheim Ducks, the Chicago Blackhawks, and the New Jersey Devils, all of whom play just 2 times this week, neither of which are on a light day. The only silver lining is that really, with so many games being spread out evenly this week, is that the busy days aren't that busy, so at least there's that. But yeah, definitely a bad week to have a bad week. I know I'm dropping Adam Henrique, ooh, that rhymed, who's still getting that primo deploymento, but yeah, on such a good week, it's hard to hold on to guys. And, like from New Jersey, Dawson Mercer or maybe Sharon Govich probably are going to be tough to hang on to. And some other teams with some bad schedules this week are the Nashville Predators, the Carolina Hurricanes, and the San Jose Sharks. They also only play twice this week, so it's a bad week to have a bad week, like I said. So drop those fringe players on teams with bad schedules. Get ready to pick up some streamers in their place. And you guys know I'm always down to give you guys advice on ads, drops, trades, whatever the case may be. Always feel free to hit me up on Twitter at NHL Stream Scheme. And I'm usually pretty quick with a response for you over there. And we'll be back with our picks right after this quick break. Hang around. So without further ado, let's get to the picks of the week. My top forward pick of the week is our old pal, Nick Schmaltz of the Arizona Coyotes, or Schmaltzy, as he's known around these parts. We were streaming Schmaltzy back before it was cool, and I guess apparently it's still not that cool, seeing how Nick Schmaltz is only rostered right now in just 24% of leagues. That's way too low, people. Those are clown league numbers. This is a pause the pod moment. And I know you might argue that no one on the Arizona Coyotes warrants a pause the pod moment, but I would disagree. Schmaltzy proved last year he can get it done in Arizona, and he's doing it again this year. Schmaltz has 4 points in his last 5 games since his return. 3 goals in there, a bunch of shots. He's seeing like at least 20 minutes of ice time a night. Everything about Nick Schmaltz screams that he's going to be a guy that you can potentially hold onto your team all year long. He's center and right wing eligible. You love to see that. And if that's not enough, it certainly doesn't hurt that Schmaltzy has a great schedule this week, playing 4 times with 3 light days. So for the love of Moose Vasco, pause the pod and pick up our old pal Nick Schmaltz. My second forward streamer pick this week is my Shallow League streamer. It's Dylan Strome of the Washington Capitals. He can classify as both for this week. Now, Dylan Strome is only slightly ranked behind Schmaltzy this week. You definitely don't need to pause the pod to add Dylan Strome, but he still checks all the boxes we're looking for. Dylan Strome is skating on the top line with Ovechkin, and he's on the top power play as well. So yes, he's also getting that primo deploymento down there in Washington. And yet, despite all of that, and not to mention his 6 points in his last 8 games, Dylan Strome is still just 25% rostered. That's ludicrous, almost as ludicrous as I'm about to become this week, and that number is too low on just a normal week for Dylan Strome, let alone on a week where Washington has a great schedule. They play 4 times this week with 3 light days, so if he's still there in your league, then you must pick up Dylan Strome. And my last pick before I truly lose my mind, we've got to get a defensive streamer for you guys, and it's also a name you might be familiar with. It's Colton Parayko of the St. Louis Blues. And that's because we streamed Parayko not too long ago, and he did come through for us before he got hurt. So I can understand if you guys had to drop him, but since coming back from his injury, Colton Parayko picked up right where he left off. In his 6 games back, his low game was just 2 kick-upful points, but that was when he uncharacteristically didn't have any blocks. Other than that, this guy's putting up at least like 2.5 kick-upful points a game from his hits, shots, and blocks alone. So I mean, do the math, people. If he gets you 2.5 kick-upful points a game times he's playing 4 games, that should theoretically, like be a floor of 10 kick-upful points a week. And, you figure if he puts up 20 points on the season, he should average like a stray assist per 4 games, you would think. So, and Parayko plays 4 times with 3 light days this week. So if you need a defensive streamer this week, or maybe just someone that you can depend on for periffs and have at least a pretty good floor, he's still just 8% rostered right now. So if he's there in your league, then I like Colton Parayko this week. And up next, I have not just 2, the typical 2, not 5 like I had last week, but we're getting pretty freaking ludicrous this week. I have 9 ludicrous streamers for you this week. Let's get it.
Prepare ship for ludicrous speed. Fasten all seatbelts. Seal all entrances and exits. Close all shops in the mall. Cancel the 3-ring circus. Secure all animals in the zoo.
Give me that, you petty excuse for an officer.
Now hear this. Ludicrous speed. Sir, had you better buckle up?
Now buckle this.
Ludicrous speed. Go!
I guess first I need a ludicrous goalie, so give me Thomas Greiss of the St. Louis Blues. This one, as you guys might expect, is another simple schedule grab here. The Blues play the back-to-back on Monday and Tuesday this week, and granted it's against 2 good teams in the Rangers and Islanders, but I could potentially see one or both of those games being low-scoring affairs. And so hopefully whichever one Greiss starts is low-scoring, so this is a boom or bust pick. But hey, he's a ludicrous streamer, so you know he's 2% rostered or lower, so take a chance on Thomas Greiss this week. And I suppose I need another defensive streamer as well, so my ludicrous defensive streamer pick this week is Vladislav Gavrikov of the Columbus Blue Jackets. First off, great name. Secondly, Vladislav Gavrikov has been putting up dummy minutes, like sometimes going back-to-back games of getting at least 27 minutes. So he's usually at least good for some decent blocks with all those minutes, and whenever he decides to shoot as well, he does become rosterable at that point. And if he could even pick up a stray point for us this week as well, then that would be a win in our book. And Columbus has a great schedule this week, playing 4 times with 2 light days, and they clearly seem invigorated by the return of Laine, so hopefully they score a bunch of goals this week. He's only rostered right now in just 2% of leagues, so pick up Vladislav Gavrikov. And we still got 7 more Ludicrous streamers on top of those 2. So my third Ludicrous streamer pick this week is Wyatt Johnston of the Dallas Stars. If you prefer your Ludicrous streamers hot, then Wyatt Johnston is certainly the streamer for you, as he has 4 points and 3 goals in his last 4 games. And granted, he's not going to see a ton of minutes in Dallas, obviously, but Wyatt Johnston is putting whatever minutes he does get to good use, as he has 10 shots in his last 2 games alone. I know Wyatt Johnston is probably someone that might already be rostered in a lot of competitive leagues like the Cupful, but he is only rostered right now in just 1% of leagues. So if he's there in your league, he plays 3 times this week with 2 light days, so if he fits your roster, I would certainly pick up Wyatt Johnston. My fourth Ludicrous streamer pick this week is Lukas Sedlak of the Philadelphia Flyers. Apologies if I'm saying that name wrong. And I mean, as far as Ludicrous streamers go, this one is a slam dunk, or a tap-in, if you will. First off, anytime anyone is a triple threat of center, left wing, and right wing eligible, you will always get my attention. But Lukas Sedlak also recently happens to find himself in a pretty great spot in Philly. Sedlak is currently getting the primo deploymento down there in Philly, playing on the top line and top power play for the Flyers. And now, of course, some people might say that that will all clearly change with Cam Atkinson potentially coming back this week. And to that, I say, who cares? You know, it's a Ludicrous streamer, plus he's got a great schedule at the very least. Philly plays 4 times this week with 3 light days, so pick up Lukas Sedlak and hope that Atkinson doesn't steal his deployment or his minutes. My fifth Ludicrous streamer pick this week is Marcus Johansson of the Washington Capitals. And while obviously if given the choice between the 2 Capitals, I would prefer Strome if he's there, but in those deeper leagues, Marjo is a pretty good consolation. First off, he's left wing and right wing eligible. You love to see that. Plus, even though Marjo isn't on the top line in Washington, he is on their second line, and he's also on their top power play as well. You know, my deepest condolences, though, to any Kuznetsov managers. You should have traded him when you had the chance. But yeah, despite getting great deployment, Marcus Johansson is only rostered right now in just 2% of leagues and has a great schedule this week. So pick up Marcus Johansson this week. My sixth Ludicrous streamer pick this week is Josh Leivo. I'm going Leivo of the St. Louis Blues. Apologize again if I'm getting that wrong. First off, Leivo of the St. Louis Blues, so I'm talking about. First off, he's both left wing and right wing eligible, which we always love to see. And Josh Leivo, all of a sudden, is getting pretty good numbers. He even played 19 minutes last game. He's shooting a bunch, and Leivo has 14 shots in his last 3 games alone, averaging nearly 5 shots a game. He also has 2 points in his last 3 games, and he's also playing in that like 50-50 power play the Blues are running right now. And of course, he's got a great schedule this week, playing 4 times with 3 light days. And despite all of this, Josh Leivo is rostered in 0% of leagues right now, I would imagine. So if he is, pick up Josh Leivo. My seventh Ludicrous streamer pick this week is our old pal Dylan Dubé of the Calgary Flames. And first off, Dubé is left wing and right wing eligible. You love to see that. Secondly, I think the Flames in general have a very high DUE right now, as they've lost 4 of their last 5 before that game on Saturday. So I think they'll start scoring goals again here pretty soon, and hopefully Dubé can get in on some of those this week when Calgary has a great schedule. They play 4 times with 3 light days in there, and he's only 1% rostered right now. So pick up Dylan Dubé this week. My 8th Ludicrous streamer pick this week is Logan O'Connor of the Colorado Avalanche. First off, LOC is both left wing and right wing eligible. You'll have to see that. Plus, O'Connor is starting to shoot more. He's averaging nearly 4 shots a game in his last 3 games. Plus, he also has 2 points over that span. And yes, of course, some people might argue that one of our dear old friends that we may never get to stream again, Valerie Nichushkin, they might argue that Nichushkin, his return might hurt Logan O'Connor, but not as much as you might think. I mean, outside of that top line in Colorado, It's pretty much whoever is just, playing the best at any given time can become that second line in Colorado. So even upon Nichushkin's return, I could still see Logan O'Connor getting decent minutes and hopefully good shots and maybe even some points as well. And of course, Colorado has a great schedule, playing 4 times with 3 light days in there, and he's only 1% rostered. So pick up Logan O'Connor this week. And lastly, my 9th ludicrous streamer and final pick of the week. Yes, that's right, you guessed correctly. We can't have a ragtag group of 9 ludicrous streamers unless we have a ludicrous streamer in there that can stand tall amongst that crowd and be a leader, a true captain. Unlike that selfish bum, Connor McDavid. I'll tell you what, if I'm starting a team tomorrow, I'm not taking Connor McDavid, that's for sure. But I'll tell you who I would take. It's our very best friend in the whole wide world, Laza. Now, of course, it's Lars Eller. Lars Eller already came through for us earlier in the year and saved us the entire week that week. And yeah, sure, Lars Eller only has 1 point in his last 8 games. But, we've got enough streamers that are hot this week. Plus, we have an exclusive understanding with Lars Eller that he only scores points during weeks that we stream him. So yeah, Lars Eller is very cold right now, but that's only because he has ice running through his veins. He could be skating on one leg. I would still have him on my team. He's only 1% rostered right now, so pick up Lazala. So there we have it. To recap our streamers for the week starting on Monday, December 5th, 2022 are the following. Our forward streamers are Nick Schmaltzy and Dylan Strome. Our defensive streamer was Colton Parayko. And we had 9 ludicrous streamers this week, and they were Thomas Greiss was our ludicrous goalie streamer. Vladislav Gavrikov was our ludicrous defensive streamer. Wyatt Johnston, Lucas Sedlak, Marcus Johansson, Josh Livo, Dylan Dubé, Logan O'Connor, and Lazala. Good luck to everyone this week. Feel free to hit me up on the Keeping Karlsson Patron Discord server. Check out the Stream Scheme channel over there, or you can find me on Twitter at NHL Stream Scheme, and make sure to follow Ben and Lewis at ShortShiftsKK, and obviously follow at Keeping Karlsson and tune into their Megapod every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you everyone for listening, and don't forget what the legendary Moose Vasco once said: the future belongs to those who believe in their stream. See you.